God is calling you, Christian, to hunger and thirst after righteousness. What does it look like? Here's 4 things that will help you. Number 1, actively read the Bible. Not passively like a newspaper or a blog. I'm talking about open it up, come with this great expectation. God, show me from your word who you are, how you see me. Help me to order my life around your word. Not just like, here's my passage for the morning, I got to check it off. That's not what I'm talking about. Actively read the Bible, active process. Number 2, obey what you know. You know, you meet all kinds of people that want to see God's power in their lives. They want to walk in the power of God, but have no desire to actually do what he tells them to do. Listen, when you begin to experience the benefit of specific things, it empowers, it emboldens you to want more of it. Some of you have kind of made some New Year's resolutions to eat better, to eat cleaner. And, you know, a couple weeks from now, if you start to feel the benefits, I just feel better, I've got better energy, I'm sleeping better, that helps you, it emboldens you to want to continue on some more. Some of you are you're going to get fit. There was more people running yesterday morning than I've seen in months. It was awesome. I'm all in on that. And I want to encourage them to keep doing it, in February too. And when you start to see the good results of that, and you back off, and it encourages you, it emboldens you to continue on. Listen, that's what the scriptures say. When we obey what you know, and we find out that God fills those with the blessings of this life, then we're like, hey, I want to obey more. God, what do you have for me next? Obey what you know, and for some of you, there's some stuff right now that you've been holding on to that you need to obey. Obey what you know now. Number 3, super important, prioritize relationships that stir our desire for the things of God. You're going to become more and more like the people that you spend the most time with. And if you spend all of your time with half-hearted, sit on the sideline, Jesus is on my calendar, but he's not on my life, that's what you will become. Hebrews 10, 24 and 25, which is another one of those, I think, kind of like core foundational texts for our spiritual life. But what it says is that what we do continually and together shapes us. What we do together, what we do continually, that is what is shaping you. If you want to have your affections stirred for Jesus, if you want to hunger and thirst for righteousness, then you're going to have to be prioritizing the relationships that fuel and feed a hunger and thirst for the righteousness in your life. Are you tracking with this? It's so important. It may be one of the most important decisions that you make in 2025 about whether your hunger and thirst for God is going to grow. It's going to be about who you prioritize to be in your life. Hebrews chapter 10, it's not just about church attendance, it's about life. Don't get stuck in the herd of indifference. Don't get stuck with people that have lost their way. You got to find some people that have found the way. And you got to prioritize spending time, figuring out how do I spend time with those kind of people. I'd love to help you with that. Number 4, spot your idols and starve them. Isaiah 55, I'm not going to have you turn there, but let me just, real quick, let me tell you this idea. You want to know the number one thing that kills your appetite for the things of God? Here's the number one passion killer for you in the things of God. Here's why some of you here, and I want to say this gently, but full of my heart of love for you. Some of you have been a Christian for a while, but honestly, if you're truthful, you don't have a hunger for God. As you're sitting here, you're in church, you know you should be here, but you would say, man, if I'm honest about this, I'm not really thirsting for righteousness. Here's the biggest thing that kills your appetite. Isaiah 55 talks about it. And what it talks about is idols. Idols. At any time that idols come into our lives, it's going to kill our appetite for God. You can't serve both. You're like, well, I don't even know. These idols are so sneaky. It feels like they kind of just sneak in. How do I know? Can I real quick give you a key for this? Your emotions are the warning light. So you've got that anger or that loneliness that's kind of welling up inside. And here's the great thing about emotions. I want you to hear this, is that our emotions are like spiritual MRIs. They're kind of like a check engine light. God's given us emotions. He gives us them to us for a reason. So what we want to know is when some big emotions come on us, what do we do next? That's how you can tell whether there's idols in your life and what they are. When big emotions come in, the question is, what do I do next? When that light comes on, that reveals that you have an idol that you need to either starve or you just allow to keep kind of growing. So if you're fighting that anger and you're lonely or you're fighting that lustful feeling, it's so easy to solve that by grabbing a drink or firing up something on Netflix to kind of numb it out. But that's what the Isaiah 55 passage tells us, that all that is like bread and drink that will not satisfy. The promise of that stuff is that I can take that away from you. But what actually happens is that loneliness and that anger gets worse. It's lying to you. So the key is when those emotions begin to well up in me, what do I do? That will identify whether there's an idol. So taking us away from the one place that we might actually be able to starve that root. So my prayer is that we determine, God, I want to run to you and not run to these things. I don't want to run to these idols. I want to run to you. I long to hunger and to thirst for righteousness.